Hey everyone, today I will be continuing the price discrimination constraint problem that we went over yesterday. I will quickly go over part A and finish the remaining of parts of part B. So we have the question, suppose a textbook monopoly can produce any level of output it wishes at a constant marginal and average cost of $5 per book. Instantly, just from that, we know that the marginal cost is equal to the average cost, which is equal to 5, right? Assume that the monopoly sells its books in two different markets that are separated by some distance, right? This distance is just the difference between the price in the first market and the price in the second market. The demand curve for the first market is given by Q1 is equal to 55 minus P1, and the curve in the second market is given by Q2 is equal to 70 minus 2P2, right? Part A asks us, if the monopolist can maintain the separation between the two markets, what level of output should be produced in each market and what price will prevail in each market? What are the total profits in this situation? So let's get started. I'm going to start with Q1. Q1 is equal to 55 minus P1. I'm going to go through this process a little bit fast because we went over it yesterday, but I'll still include all the steps. Okay. Step 1, we have to invert this to get our P of Q function. Invert this for P of Q. And how do we do this? We just isolate for P. So we know Q1 is going to equal 55 minus P1. P1 is going to be equal to 55 minus Q1. Therefore, P of Q1 is equal to 55 minus Q1. Okay, perfect. Step 2, find total revenue. And we need to find total revenue because in order to profit max for a monopoly, we have to set marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost. And to get marginal revenue, we need total revenue. So we know that total revenue is just equal to the price of Q times however many Q units we sell, which in our case is equal to 55 minus Q1 times however many Q1 units we sell. So we know that total revenue is equal to 55 Q1 minus Q1 squared. Perfect. Step 3. Find marginal revenue. We know that marginal revenue is just the derivative of Q with respect to total revenue, which in our case is equal to, 55 minus 2Q1. Perfect. Now we're going to go into step 4, which is find Q1 star, or equilibrium point, by setting marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost, right? We know that our marginal revenue, we just calculated it, is 55 minus 2Q1. And we know our marginal cost is equal to 5, right? Because it was given in the question. So solving for Q1, we're going to get 50 is equal to 2Q1. Q1 star is equal to 25. Perfect. Now, we're going to go into step 5. Right? Step 5 is find P star by subbing in Q star 1 equal 25 into P of Q1, right? If you remember, our P of Q1, we calculated it, is P of Q1 is equal to 55 minus Q1, right? P is a function of Q. The price is going to determine, or the price is determined by however many units we sell. So we know this is going to be P of 55 because, P of 25 because Q1 star is equal to 25, which is equal to 55 minus 25, which is equal to 30. If I am not mistaken, it should be equal to 30. So P star 1 is equal to 30, right? Finally, let me just fix this. Step 6, find total profit. In first market, right? Because we know this is just Q1 in market one, right? We know profit is equal to the price we sell at times however many units we sell at, which is P star 1 times Q star 1, minus the average cost times however many Q units we sell. If we just substitute values, we know this is going to be equal to 30 times 25 minus 5 times 25. We get the 5 from the average cost given in the question. This is going to be equal to, let me just pull up the answers because calculating everything is going to be a little bit time consuming. Where is this? This might take a while. I think it should be 625. It's not here. Sorry, I'm just looking for these answers. Okay, I can't find them, so we'll just use our calculator. It's fine. 30 times 25 minus 5 times 25 is just equal to 625, exactly. So profit in the first market is equal to 625. Now, we have to do this for Q2 as well, and it's all the same steps. I'm going to go through it a little bit faster. Minus 2P2. So we know step 1 is find P of Q, right? Which we know is just going to be 2P2 is equal to 70 minus Q2. If we divide both sides by 2, P2 is equal to 35 minus Q2 over 2. Perfect. Step 2, total revenue, right? We know total revenue is equal to, let me write this in green actually, I'm sorry. Total revenue. We know total revenue is equal to P of Q times Q, which in our case is 35 minus Q2 over 2 times Q2, which is equal to 35 Q2 minus Q2 squared over 2. If you're wondering how I got the Q2 squared, Q2 times Q2 over 2 is the same as Q2 over 2 times Q2 over 1, which is just equal to Q2 squared over 2, if you were wondering. Now 3, find marginal revenue. We know this is just going to be equal to the derivative of Q with respect to total revenue, which in our case is equal to 35 minus 2Q2 over 2. We take the derivative of the top and leave the bottom as the constant. We know it cancels out the 2's. So we know that our marginal revenue is equal to 35 minus Q2. Perfect. Now, step 4, find Q star by setting marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost, right? So we know 35 minus Q2 is equal to 5. Q2 star is going to be equal to 30. Perfect. Number 5, sub Q star 2 equals 30 into our P of Q2 to find P star 2, right? We know our P of Q2 was equal to 35 minus Q2 over 2. Okay, as I was saying before, our P of Q2 is equal to 35 minus Q2 over 2. If we substitute Q2 is equal to 30, we'll get 35 minus 30 over 2, which is equal to 35 minus 15, which is equal to 20. So P star number 2 is equal to 20. And finally, step number 6, find profit. We know that profit is just going to be equal to our Q star, which is 30, times our P star, which is 20, minus our average cost, which is 5, times 30, which is how many units we sell, which in our case, let me just do the calculations. Minus 5 times 30 is equal to 450. Perfect. Now, finally, in the question, it asked, what are the total profits in this situation? So we know that profit total is equal to the profit in the first market plus the profit in the second market, which is equal to 625 plus 450, which is equal to 1,075. Finally, it's not asked in the question, but if you just look at what P star 1 minus P star 2 is equal to, we know it's equal to 30 minus 20, which is equal to 10, right? That's our price discrimination level. It's 10. Question B is going to ask us, what happens if this price discrimination level is constrained and decreases to $5? And immediately you should be thinking, well, if the price discrimination constraint decreases and it's more constrained for monopolists to discriminate prices, then their profits should decrease because consumers are gaining more power, which is what happens, and we're going to prove it through the math. Okay, so the question asked us, what happens if P star 1 minus P star 2 is equal to 5? This part's very, very important, so please pay close attention. If you get this part wrong, you're just going to get the whole question wrong. So I urge that you just pay attention for this part. We know our P1 is equal to 55 minus Q1. We derived that earlier. And we know our P2 is equal to 35 minus Q2 over 2, right? We derived that earlier as well. Let me just double check. Yeah. Now, once we write out the two equations like this, I can see, well, wait, if we subtract P1 on the top by P2, that's going to give us P1 minus P2, right? So we're going to subtract, right? We're going to get P1 minus P2, which is equal to 55 minus 35 is equal to 20. We're going to subtract Q1, and then we're going to subtract negative Q2 over 2. So we're going to add Q2 over 2. And we know this should equal to 5 because we know P1 minus P2 is equal to 5, right? So we're going to get 20 minus Q1 plus Q2 over 2 is equal to 5. Here, we're going to isolate for Q1, right? And the reason we're isolating for Q1 is because we're going to want to sub it back into our profit function to find the optimal amounts of Q1, Q2, P1, and P2. So we're just going to do some algebra. 20 minus 5 plus Q2 over 2 is equal to Q1. Therefore, Q1 is equal to 15 plus Q2 over 2. Perfect. Right? Now, we know that profit is going to be equal to the price of 1 minus the average cost of 1 times however many units of the first quantity we sell, plus the price of 2 minus the average cost of 2 times however many units we sell in the second market, right? This is profit total. So if we sub in our P1 and our P2, we're going to get, let me actually zoom this out so you can see it. Profit total is going to be equal to 55 minus Q1 minus 5, because that's our average cost, times Q1, plus 35 minus Q2 over 2 minus 5 times Q2, right? We can simplify this expression a little bit. It's going to be equal to 50 minus Q1 times Q1 plus 30 minus Q2 over 2 times Q2, right? Now with this, we can solve for Q2 by substituting the Q1 we found earlier into the equation. So what we're going to do is we're going to go profit total is equal to 50 minus, right, 15 plus Q2 over 2 in brackets times 15 plus Q2 over 2. All we did is we substituted this Q1 equal 15 plus Q2 over 2 into our profit equation. And then we're just going to keep the right side the same, plus 30 minus Q2 over 2 times Q2. Finally, we're going to do some more simplification. Profit is equal to 50 minus 15 is 35, minus Q2 over 2, right, because of the negative that we distribute into the bracket, plus 15 plus q2 over 2, or multiply, sorry, by 15 plus q2 over 2, plus 30 q2 minus q2 squared over 2. Perfect. Now what we're going to do to find q2 star is we're going to take the first derivative and we're going to do the first order condition. And you may be wondering why we're going to do that. Well, we know it's a constraint problem, and we know to solve for the maximum or like the equilibrium quantity in a constraint problem, we have to take the first order derivative and we have to set the derivative equal to 0. So let me just write this again. I'm going to do this on this page. Profit total is equal to 35 minus q2 over 2 times 15 plus q2 over 2 plus 30 q2 minus q2 squared over 2. Okay, we're going to take the derivative of q with respect to profit. If you see right here, this is product rule. We have two functions multiplying by each other. We have to take the derivative of each. The derivative of 35 minus q2 over 2 is going to be equal to negative 1 over 2, right? And we know this because the derivative of 35, which is a constant, is equal to 0. And the derivative of q2 over 2 is just equal to the derivative of q2, which is 1, over 2. We leave it by itself. So we're going to get negative 1 over 2 times 15 plus q2 over 2 plus the derivative of this function, 15 plus q2 over 2, which is just equal to 1 over 2, times our first function, 35 minus q2 over 2. If you want to think about it, this is a and this is b. We took the derivative of a and multiplied it by b, and we added the derivative of b multiplied by a. The derivative of 30 q2 is just 30, and the derivative of q2 squared over 2 is just equal to q2. Right, because it's going to be 2q2 over 2. The 2's cancel out, and we're going to get negative q2. And now from here, we solve the derivative. All we have to do is expand, right? We know we're going to set the derivative equal to 0. So we know 0 is going to be equal to negative 15 over 2 minus q2 over 4, because 2 times 2 is 4, right here. Negative 1 times q2 is negative q2. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 35 over 2 minus another q2 over 4 plus 30 minus q2, right? We're going to get 15 over 2 minus 35 over 2 minus 30. Actually, let me do this the other way. I don't want to get confused with the negatives. We're going to go 0 is equal to negative 15 over 2 plus 35 over 2 plus 30 minus q2 over 4 minus q2 over 4 minus q2, right? If we deal with the constants, we know we're going to get 20 over 2 plus 30, which is equal to 10 plus 30, which is equal to 40. Negative q2 over 4 minus q2 over 4 is negative 2q2 over 4. And we know in order to subtract q2, we have to get the same denominator. So we can write this as negative 4q2 over 4, right? And then we're going to get 40 minus 6q2 over 4 is equal to 0. We're going to move the 6q2 over 4 to the other side. So 6 over 4q2 is equal to 40. We know we can simplify this to 3 over 2. So we know 3 over 2 q2 is equal to 40. If we multiply both sides by 2, which is just 2 over 1, this cancels, and we're going to get 3q2 is equal to 80. Finally, q2 star is equal to 80 over 3. There we go. We found q2 star, finally. It's a lot of math, but we found it. Now what we're going to do is we're going to sub q2 star into q1 to find q1 star, right? If you look above, our q1 is equal to 15 plus q2 over 2, right? So we know we can just substitute q2 in. It's going to be q1 is equal to 15 plus q2 over 2. right? Q1 star is going to be equal to 15 plus 80 over 3 over 2. Q1 star is going to be equal to, let me use my calculator, 15 plus 80 over 3 over 2 is equal to 85 over 3. Perfect. We found our Q1 star. Now to find P star, we're going to do what we did earlier. We're going to sub Q2 star into P of Q2. So you know it's going to be equal P of 80 over 3 is equal to 35 minus Q2 over 2. We know it's going to be 35 minus 80 over 3 over 2. We know P star 2 is going to be equal to, hold on, 80 over 3 over 2. One second. 80 over 3 over 2. P star 2 is going to be equal to 65 over 3, right? We just did the calculation in my calculator, in our calculators. And we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to sub into P of Q1 is equal to 55 minus Q1. So we know P of 85 over 3 is equal to 55 minus 85 over 3. And we know P star 1 is going to be equal to 80 over 3. Perfect. That's most of the question done. We found our new Q star 2 and 1 and our new P star 2 and 1. Now we're going to find profit. Profit is going to be equal to, well, we kind of already wrote it here, right? It's P1 minus AC1 times Q1 plus P2 minus AC2 times Q2. Let me actually just copy this down here, right? And we have all of these variables, right? We have the equilibrium level of all of these variables. We can just sub it in. We know profit is going to be equal to 80 over 3 minus 5 times 85 over 3 plus 65 over 3 minus 5 times 80 over 3. We know our new profit is going to be equal to, let me just do the calculation. Sorry, 1 second. 80 over 3 minus 5 times 85 over 3 plus 65 over 3 minus 5 times 80 over 3. We know our new profit is going to be equal to 1,058.3. And why is this significant? Well, our original profit, when the price discrimination level was equal to 10, the original profit was 1,075. Now that the price discrimination constraint tightened, right, because the price discrimination level decreased, the profit of the monopolist decreased as well, which is very fascinating, and that's really what you're trying to prove. Now, the second part of part B, we're not finished, is what would the monopolist's new profit Part B is how would your answer change if mailing costs were 0? What does that mean? That's basically asking what would happen if P star 1 minus P star 2 was now equal to 0. How would we do that? We'd have to find first, let me actually write down the steps. First, find market demand, right? And this is how we're going to do it. We know our quantity 1 demanded was equal to 55, P1 minus 55, right? 55 minus P1, yep. Minus P1. And we know our quantity demanded 2 was equal to 70 minus 2P2. 2P2. what we have to do is, like, we look at these two demand functions, right? We notice if the price of both of them was equal to 35, right? Quantity demanded 1 is going to be equal to 55 minus 35, which is just equal to 20. But quantity demanded 2 is going to be equal to 70 minus 2 times 35, which is equal to 70 minus 70, which is equal to 0. Therefore, we can say when the price is greater than 35, market demand is equal to just the first quantity demand, Q1, which is equal to 55 minus P1. However, when the price is less than 35, we know quantity demanded is going to be equal to quantity 1 plus quantity 2, which is equal to 55 minus P1, plus 70 minus 2P2, right? So therefore, when price is less than 35, market demand is going to be equal to 55 plus 70, which is 125, minus 3P. We're going to get rid of these P1, P2 because we know the mailing price is equal to 0. Right? The price discrimination constraint is 0. So we have our market demand. Perfect. Now, again, we're going to solve for Q star, P star. And we're going to use the same steps we used in the part A of the question. So number 1, invert to find P of Q, right? We know 3P is going to be equal to 125 minus QD. We know P is going to be equal to 125 over 3 minus QD over 3. 2, find total revenue. Total revenue is going to be equal to 125 over 3 times QD minus QD squared over 3. Step 3, find marginal revenue. We know marginal revenue is equal to the derivative of total revenue with respect to Q. It's going to be equal to 125 over 3 minus 2QD over 3, right? Derivative of the top, we leave the bottom constant. And then 4, marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost for Q star. So we know that 125 over 3 minus 2QD over 3 is equal to 5. 125 over 3 minus 15 over 3 is equal to 2QD over 3. If you're wondering where I got this 15 over 3 from, I moved the 5 to the other side, and we have to subtract it because we switched the signs. And I multiplied both sides, the numerator and the denominator, by 3, so we can get this similar denominator to subtract, right? So it's going to be 110 over 3 is equal to 2QD over 3. We're going to cross multiply. So we're going to get 3 times 110 is equal to 3 times 2QD. We can see that these 3 cancels. And then we're going to have 110 is equal to 2QD. Finally, Q star demanded is equal to 55, right? Which is just 110 over 2. Right? We divided both sides here by 2. Quantity demanded star is equal to 55. Right? Step 5. Plug into P of Q to find P star, right? P is going to be equal to 125 over 3 minus QD over 3. So it's going to be equal to 125 over 3 minus 55 over 3. It is going to be equal to, let me use my calculator, 70 over 3, right? So we have our new P star and we have our new Q star when P1 minus P2 is equal to 0. We now have to find profit, which we know is just going to be equal to 70 over 3 times 55, the price times how many goods we sell, minus the average cost times however many goods we sell. We know our new profit is going to be equal to 70 over 3 times 55 minus 5 times 55. New profit is going to be equal to 1,008.33. And that is good because the profit is now less than it was before in part B. Let me get my pointy thing, laser. The profit in part B was 1,058. The profit in part C, where there's no price discrimination, is equal to 0, is 1,008.33. So what can we say? Tightened price discrimination constraint lowers profits of monopolist. And that is our question done.